Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping right into a totally fascinating framework that the source material calls the architecture of adversity. Listen, if you're feeling stuck, this is literally your blueprint for breaking out of that stagnation and leveling up in life. We're going to completely flip our usual approach to self-improvement right on its head. The source poses this ultimate, incredibly direct question to us right out of the gate. How can you become better physically, mentally, and emotionally? It's the absolute core of self-improvement, right? But hey, instead of giving us some overly complex life hacks, the text actually gives us a surprisingly straightforward answer, one that really demands we totally rethink how we do things. Okay, let's dive into this. The text introduces what it definitively calls the general rule, and it is simply this: doing things that challenge you and are not in the scope of your current skills. It's really that simple. It's not about taking what you're already great at and just doing it more often. Honestly, if you already have the skill, you aren't really growing, are you? You're just kind of maintaining the status quo. And that leads us to a slightly uncomfortable truth. You have to train and practice right where you are currently weak. You've got to intentionally try to make progress on things that just don't exist in your current toolbox of capabilities. Like I said, practicing what you already know just preserves where you're at right now. To actually build this architecture of adversity in your own life, you have to actively seek out and embrace those blind spots. Let's move to and see how this builds in the real world. We'll start with what the text calls the physical trial. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept. Think about your current physical strength for a second. Imagine lifting a weight you can handle super comfortably. The source explicitly points out that if you want to get stronger, there is literally no way around it. You have to try lifting heavier weights than you're used to, right? Because if you only ever lift what's comfortable, your muscles just never adapt. That real physical transformation, it only happens when you deliberately embrace that heavier challenge. But the source material definitely doesn't stop at the gym. We're pivoting now to your internal world for the emotional trial. Because, your mind and your feelings, they require an equally intentional, yet totally distinct kind of practice. And the text gives us a fantastic, specific toolkit for building up that emotional health. We're talking meditation, deep breathing techniques, yoga, or reading books. Now, the source doesn't frame these as just relaxing little hobbies to pass the time. No, it frames them as targeted activities of resistance. I mean, think about it. Sitting in total silence when your mind is racing through your grocery list, that is incredibly hard. Focusing on deep breathing when you're super stressed out, that requires immense effort. But that friction is exactly why doing it builds up your inner strength. So when we look at the physical challenge right alongside the emotional one, it really locks the whole concept into place. The outer physical struggle of that heavy lift perfectly mirrors the inner mental focus of meditation or reading. Both of them force you to step entirely out of your comfort zone. It's the exact same blueprint, just applied to completely different parts of your existence. So the crucial point is how we tie all of this together. The text provides this amazing overarching philosophy for total life improvement. It calls it the universal standard for growth. The source breaks this down into 3 sequential steps. Step 1, force yourself to do the uncomfortable. Step 2, suffer for a while. And step 3, reach higher standards. Now, I know what you're thinking. Words like force and suffer, they sound really heavy, right? But the text completely reframes this. It's not a punishment to dread. It's just the mandatory friction you feel when your current boundaries are expanding. It's simply the toll we all have to pay on the road to adaptation. And that brings us to this incredibly powerful directive straight from the text itself. Strive to force yourself to do uncomfortable and suffer for a while. That helps you reach higher standards. I absolutely love that. Strive for it. Actively seek it out. When you feel that discomfort creeping in, whether you're straining under a barbell or just forcing yourself to sit quietly and read a book, you are not failing. Actually, scratch that. It means you are successfully executing the architecture of adversity. Which leaves us with one final super provocative thought. What uncomfortable thing will you force yourself to do today to reach your next standard? Because your growth is waiting right there on the other side of your current skills. So find that discomfort and lean directly into it. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.